Thank you for staying with us. The Lagos State government has said that the enforcement of the monthly rent policy would commence before the end of 2024. This is a rental payment system where tenants will pay to the landlords every month to avoid the discomfort of a yearly rent obligation. According to Governor Babajide Sanwo Olu, the current one-year upfront rental payment system has become inadequate to address recent realities in the housing sector. The policy is expected to begin before the end of 2024. Now, critics have also complained that this would not be favourable for many Lagosians in the future. We have joining us in the studio a lawyer and public affairs analyst, Olayinka Ola-Daniels. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers.
All right. I wonder what came to mind when you heard the governor saying that they are going to look into the enforcement of this monthly rent payment as against 1 year. There are those who have said that it's not possible, it's not feasible in Lagos, because even at the time where the tenancy law said it's just 1 year rental payment, we still saw, some landlords demanding 2 years payment, 2 years agreement, 2 years this and that, and not much was seen. There was no arrests that we had seen being made, complaints being made, and other complaints made addressed. So I wonder what came to mind when you heard this statement.
Yeah, well, I think I'll start by saying talk is cheap. And like my friend will always say, cheap like plantain chips, We've had laws over time. And the problem we've always had is enforcement of the laws. Year in, year out, government will come in and say one thing or the other. Now, the question again is this. The policy the government wants to implement by the end of this year, looking at it par to par as to the tenancy law of Lagos State, can the law really give rooms for this policy to actually work? For instance, under this same law, there are still some areas that the law does not apply to.
Yeah.
The Apapa, there's area in Apapa, Ikeja, GRA, Ikoyi,
does not apply there.
It does not apply there. Now, meaning that the law had already separated some people or some areas from following that. Now, even the areas that we are talking about, 2011 tenancy law, section 4, made it clear, landlord cannot, tenant cannot pay more than this 6 months, we cannot pay more than 1 year. But has it been effected? Has it been enforced? Since we have that. Over time, these laws are there. But the problem is enforcement, because the landlord will come and tell you, look, I know how much I built my house. When I was building, I know how much the materials, were for. So now you cannot, and that is what it tells the tenant. And okay, for instance, you are looking for a property. You're looking for, a house, and you finally get one, and the landlord is saying 1 year, and you are desperate in getting a property. So you now go. You say you won't pay the 1 year, landlord. And the truth is, the people that will pay that 1 year will come and pay. And you will be the one to lose. Now, government, where are the agencies to really enforce this? Where and where can they be at the same time? We're talking about Lagos, you see, is a community that, it's small but it's big at the same time. So how do you know where to go? Who is going to come and report who to you? Because the landlord will tell you, look, you can't tell me how much, the number of months I will. But really, when some of us were growing up in this same Lagos, rent were being paid monthly. Yes, in this same Lagos.
What changed?
We don't know what changed. At some point, meaning that over time, government lost in their responsibility. Yeah. They slept on their own responsibility to uphold the laws and to make sure that things are done, because they got carried away and they're looking for, only God knows what they are looking for. Now, when government goes and gives you land use charge, and what you see, they see a bill, the landlord see a bill, and the landlord, and don't forget that the land use charge law says is the owner of the property that will pay. Now, what you say these days, the landlord try to move that responsibility to the tenant. The tenant also will come back to fight. No, the law says you are the one to, okay, don't worry, you pay it somehow. So in the rent, they come and now, also the implication or what may follow this 1 month, if care is not taken, is for landlord to raise the bills. Now, will the government also come to say, we want to regulate tenancy in Lagos State and that in some areas you cannot collect more than this figure?
Should government go in that direction?
If they want to go in that is what I'm saying, that, okay, if government wants to go in that direction, then there will be a conflict. Because the landlord will say, look, are you the one buying the materials? I am the one paying to build this house.
I understand that there are laws that actually protect the tenants and as well protect the landlord as well.
Sure.
But all the same, it is very, very, if you look at the way houses are being, the kind of price that are given to people to pay to rent a house and all of that, some property are not just okay. And then the kind of money they put on it, then you have to pay through your nose, even though you're not getting these facilities that they promise. Shouldn't the tenants get a reprieve one way or the other?
Yes. Look, these laws, all this are in the laws that we're talking about. But enforcement. Now you go to, you get a property. In fact, you find that there are some landlord, like you said, there are some landlord, they overbill.
Yeah.
They and they don't care. In fact, there are some, what I think.
In fact, the activities of agents or caretaker.
In fact, where, you see, government has a lot of work to do. A lot. For instance, we're talking about some of these properties that do not qualify to be mentioned as to, oh, this is what they should collect on. You see some rooms, you will be amazed, and you will ask yourself, somebody going to live here? And if you hear the price of those, now, this is where the government is supposed to come in to say, look, and don't forget, these things are there. Enforcement is still the problem. To say, your room cannot be more, less than something square meter, something, and all that length, breadth, and all that. Is there. But who is following it? Who is enforcing it? These people will still go ahead, want to maximize that 300 square meter space and want to build all sorts of number of, flats, story buildings or rooms on it.
Yeah.
And nobody is enforcing that. So that is why we are saying that it's good to, it's easy to talk. Yes, everybody wants to come and say, okay, we will do this. But how visible is this going to work in a state where real property is the main thing, and that is where people generate their fund? That is where the landlord, some of them, that is practically what they live on. Now you now want to say, okay, monthly. And they are looking at, if I take this thing, this money monthly, it can't do anything for me. I can't recoup what I have spent so far. And also, we've been to some countries, and we know that what they take is monthly tenancy. Yes. It's monthly. Go to the US, go to UK, it's monthly. So I don't know how we got here. I know Lagos, it used to be monthly. But, in Lagos.
But some tenants are already saying that it's not convenient for them to pay monthly because you have your issues to tackle weekly, monthly, and all of that. So,
they can save up.
Exactly. So you just want to do away with that money, and then you know that it's until the following year. So this is a law that even some tenants are already kicking against.
Even if someone, look, they will, because if, for instance, you're paying yearly, maybe 1.5 or 2 million. By the time you break it into monthly dues, monthly payment, the truth is, no landlord will break that to, if you divide 2 million by 12, it will give you a particular figure. Yeah. No landlord will collect that figure monthly. You will increase it. That means you'll be paying more if you want to do monthly. So government really needs to sit down, call the stakeholders, not just making policies or laws in your bedroom or in your comfort zone. You need to come out and meet these people. See reality, because hey, I'm not against it. We can actually do monthly, but then it has to be done on reality, present on the current situation in the country. We know what is happening here, so you don't just bring policies that will be, anti-people.
Is it?
He made a statement. He said there are tenants
who are complaining.
Yeah. There are tenants also that want to do the monthly. But now my fear for that is what I just raised, of landlord increasing, the monthly fee. And
because they too are feeling the impact.
If care is not taken, we will come back to this. And people will still find it difficult to pay that monthly rent. Not compared to a system over time, over years. That is what they know. Anybody that is coming to UK today, to US today, you know that you are paying monthly. Okay, if it's a figure, it's either you are ready to pay it. If you cannot pay the one of 15, you go and look for the one of $800 to pay. So the same thing should apply here. If it's okay monthly, some areas, they collect maybe it's 100,000 monthly. If you can afford the one of 200,000 monthly, you go to the area of 200,000. But that one will take time. It's not something you just want to start when the system, over time, is known to be this way. There are places, there are areas that some people still pay as low as maybe 400, 500, 600 as rent. There are places people still pay maybe 250.
You say as low as.
I was thinking in my mind, 400 is not low.
Sorry, maybe as low as 250 thereabout in some areas. And there are some areas.
You would like to say as low as 250.
All right, let's say 250.
You're a big man, so when big man talks.
No, don't go there. Let's say 250. Okay, I will drop that, but let's say as low as 200, right. 250. And there are some places that people pay 3 point something, 5 million. So that area, you can't compare those areas. So now, if you want to pay monthly at this area of 250, you know how much you'll be paying. And if you want to pay monthly at those areas, then the question, like you said, for instance, if it's a duplex, am I supposed to be paying monthly? But we know the system, whether it's duplex, whatever it is, you pay monthly fees. But here in Lagos, how do we enforce this? That is the question I'm going to be asking the government.
The governor.
You need to talk to the people, come to the grassroots. It's not just sitting up there and making policies that may not go well with the people. You need to know the mind of our people. You need to know. And again, it's about enforcement. It's about you going out, sending your agencies out
I do not
to enforce this. But where are these people? Because the one we've had in the past, till date, has not been enforced. Right. I don't think any landlord or any tenant had gone to report that my landlord said I should bring 1 year or 6 months. I don't think I've seen that, really. I don't think I've seen that in court or anywhere, or under any government agencies. So we have not even done that.
Brought to your chamber. So.
Well, maybe. But now, if you have not enforced this, then you want to start. You must start somewhere.
It doesn't look realistic.
It doesn't look well to me, but it can be achieved.
How?
Thank you. One, go back to the law. Go back to let the assembly look at the Lagos State tenancy law. Now, be realistic with the provisions of the law. Remove all the ambiguity. Make it as simple as what an average person on the road will understand. Now, when you now when you repeal the law, let the law reflect what you want to do. Now, give people time and say, from this so time, this law takes effect, and we will follow this law to letter. Let your people, sanitize your people, make them understand why you need to do this. Then, once that period of grace passes, then whether you're going to have another agency, whether you have a current agency that will then go out and make sure, let them even carry out survey and see what is happening around. Then from there, start effective enforcing this law with that, because if you cannot just bring out a policy and the law is saying something else, because you will see a lot of litigation, people will go to court and say this is the provision of the law and the law does not cover what you are telling us, so this cannot fly. So you must start from there first.
That's right. But then the government actually says that they are test running this this scheme, because it's a scheme. They say they're starting with the public sector. So the government already put some amount of money, I think 5 billion naira. There's another scheme which is rent to own homes. So if they start with the public, I feel it's possible that it's probably possible that they may be able to achieve this, in the sense that we have the way the power holding company also allocate all of these things. We have the band A, we have the band B, band C, or thereabouts, so they know how they tax or they bill different areas. So if possible, they can look at the areas, the location, the kind of structure that you have, and then they bill you accordingly with the kind of facilities that you have, and then they allow you to bill accordingly, and that brings in the concept of the price control. Do you not feel that this is possible, that it's for you to sail through?
Oh, it is. From the paper, from the analysis, it is. But when it comes to reality, and again, before you can even say this, to avoid multiple litigations, the law needs to cover what you want to do. You can't bring in policies, you can't bring in directives, you can't bring in all that people will still come and tell you, look, where is the law that says this should happen? If, for instance, if the current law is saying I should not pay more than 3 months or 6 months, and you are talking about monthly, where is the provision of that under the tenancy law that gives me to, take 1 month, or you to pay 1 month to me? If I'm the landlord, I will go to court and say, no, sorry, I can't take 1 month I can't take 1 month because there's no law that says I should take one. So we need to start from there first. As we are working on that, then you are doing every other thing, test running, asking questions, meeting people, sanitizing, and talking to them about it. I think that's the only way to go. Else, there will be a lot of setback on this.
Now, the essence for the tenancy law was to find a way that the inequalities between tenants and landlords can be balanced.
Yeah.
But as the way things are, would we ever get to that point, especially in a state like Lagos with its peculiarities, where we can see some sort of balancing of the inequalities? Yes, we both have our rights, but then we can, come to a compromise at certain things. Because there are those who have said there's no need going to the courts for certain things when it comes to this matter of tenants and the landlord. It's prolonging issues and all of it. But is there a way we can actually get a compromise and have some balancing act to these inequalities?
Yes, if you look at the tenancy law, if you look at it very well, you find out that there's a lot of protection for the tenant.
Absolutely.
And why? Recently, I made an agreement with someone, and the person was insisting that when we're talking about termination and all that, we put 3 months in the agreement, and he was insisting that, no, the law says 6 months. I said, okay, go back to that law and read. You will see that the law stated it clearly that, look, when there is no such agreement, then the law applies. The 6 months for 1 year applies. But if there is an agreement between you and your landlord, and the landlord is saying, I only have 3 months to give you to vacate and all that, if you agree to that, there is nothing you can do, because the law had even made provision for that. It is when there is no agreement, the law comes to protect the tenant. And that is when the law is saying weekly, monthly, quarterly, 6 months, 1 year. This is the statutory notice that must be given to the tenant, because it has to protect you, because the landlord goofed from the beginning by not making an agreement to cover all that. So that is where the balance comes in. The law is there. But then if you do the right thing, for instance, if you have an agreement from inception, and the agreement has stated clearly how two of you will, in fact, some agreement will say you do arbitration. So you don't have to go to court. That whatever you agree is there in the agreement. Once you sign that, so that settles it. And there's some agreement that will say, well, if we go to arbitration and arbitration cannot resolve it, we then still go back to court. There are some agreements that clearly states that. So once you have that, then that I mean, supersede, because you have signed, and the law had made provision for that agreement. So that is where you have the balance. So there is no how that the tenant and the landlord cannot come together. Because like what I tell my clients when they come, oh, they want to evict them, I'll say, look, okay, if your landlord is saying, go, I want to use my property. He's not saying I want to increase, but he's saying I want to use my property. Okay, how many months do you need to move? That is what I tell them. How many months do you need to move? So let me talk to your landlord to give us, whether it's 6 months, whether it's whatever, we'll do what we have to do, rather than going to court and going over and over and over in court. And you can spend, even if you spend 1 year, if you spend 2 years in court, you will leave that house. It's not your property.
That's right. A renowned real estate expert and also chief operating officer of certain real estate company, Wale Kwale, said that this proposed rental scheme is something that will help bring in investors into the system, into Lagos State. He said the Lagos State government will attract more real estate investment into the state. So he's seeing it differently as a positive initiative.
You will see it differently because it's into real estate. You know why? There are a lot of properties today. They do short term. Yeah. Rent. Yeah. People come in, for those investors we're talking about, they come in and they get, in fact, it's everywhere also, not just in Nigeria, Airbnb and all that. So they get it, and whether it's 1 month you want to spend, whether it's 2 months, you pay for that. And you stay, you do whatever you want to do, and you leave. So they do it. So it can say that, why? Because is what they do is a system. But that is also, like you said, for investors. Yes, that is why we have it. People come in and they do all that 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. But if you domicile in Lagos or in Nigeria and you want to live here, I mean, is it totally?
And you have a family, you can't be moving from one.
Like, even the people that take the shortcuts,
yeah,
if they live here, they won't go for that option. Of course. They will go for a longer term options, and it will be cheaper for them because that is more expensive for them. That is why some of us are being careful because of the increment that may follow the monthly tenancy. We have to look at it holistically and critically to make sure that we have agency also, or we have regulatory body also that will follow back to back on the rent, so that wherever you are, no matter what you build, this area, you cannot pay more than so amount as to rent. And you cannot collect more than so. If that is in place, fine, it will work, I'm good. But if that is not in place, and no enforcement, no regulatory body to follow, because realty in Lagos is not regulated at all.
Exactly, because
everybody, people are doing all this one will come agents, and this one, this one. Thank you, and agents will come. In fact, there was a time they said, "Oh, don't give agent this." There is no agent that will not collect this money.
Of course,
agents have done this, he will collect. Don't do that. Nothing. All the laws are there. When people talk about laws, I tell them, laws are there. In fact, there are laws. There are people who are talking about things today, but if you check the law very well, you find out that those laws were made some years back and no enforcement. So you now want to make a new law. To do what? No. The laws are there. Let's enforce them.
First of all.
First, so then we can talk about, we can even repeal. We can use, because some of these laws also are archaic.
That's right.
They are laws that does not replicate the current society. So you need to also consider that. The laws of 1975 cannot be the law of 2024. So that is why you see repealing from 2011. That is why the Orosai whatever proposal, people report, they were saying, look, hold on. Then
we have more than 1,000.
We just have to be careful on how, and we have to, whatever we have to do,
it has to reflect
the current realities.
Absolutely. Basic. That's a fine place to leave this conversation. We must thank you, Olayinka Ola-Daniels, lawyer and public affairs analyst, for your time on the program. Thank you. You're watching